Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today we're discussing a 2022 update of a long-running classic in the Moser line. This, from H. Moser Cie of Schaffhausen, Switzerland, is the Endeavour Perpetual Funky Blue. For 2022, it gains a discrete, clear, lacquered logo. That is because Moser hangs its hat on design, not branding. You know what this is, even from an arm's length where the logo's invisible. Funky Blue, Moser, Endeavour Perpetual. So the Endeavour Perpetual Funky Blue features a white gold case that's 42 millimeters in diameter. It is 12.2 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. You can see it's 48.4 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. It wears quite nicely. The lugs are short and tightly downturned. You can see they're nowhere near the edge of my wrist on either side, so you could even go with a smaller wrist, like a 15 centimeter circumference wrist, and wear this quite effectively. Here's the cuff shot. Yes, it'll slide under a sleeve. It has a concave bezel and a sloped case flank. And then the watch does also have a cambered case back. You can see how dramatically it's curved. That also helps it to fit snugly. We have a kudu leather strap, which is an unusual leather that Moser prefers, usually in a minimally tanned and natural format. So you can see marks of the original hide, imperfection, bites, scratches, scuffs, scars. The original grain of the leather is very much present. We have a shear cut edge, we have a center that's been bolstered to give it some volume, a monotone stitch, and then a more conventional calf skin on the bottom. You can see this is a brand new ungouged, uncrimped Moser factory strap. Even many flagship pieces from Moser, including Endeavour Perpetuals, don't necessarily include folding clasps. So the fact that this has a folding clasp likely speaks to an optional extra cost upgrade by the original buyer at a Moser store. So that's what happened here. The folding clasp is extra value and a premium flourish that Moser does not generally include standard. You can see the buckle has a logo as well as satin and polish. Rolling over to the case, you find, well, satin and polish. Now, Moser machines and then hand finishes its cases, so it can get degrees of depth and detail that you can't achieve with simple stamping. You can see these deep recesses, these hollows that have been black polished, as well as the way the case sort of slopes and sags as the bezel swells at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. It's a beautifully fluid form. You can see how the bezel thins out at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and then it's concave all the way around to visually thin the watch. We have those polished recesses, but we also have satination on each side. We have a sharply knurled Moser branded crown. It's a pleasure to use. The dial, Funky Blue. The Funky Blue is the center. It's almost navy at the edge, so it's a fumé or smoked fade in French Swiss. Of course, Moser out of Schaffhausen is one of a handful of German Swiss watchmakers in the northeast of the country. The more famous manufacturer out of Schaffhausen goes by its initials. This one is actually just as impressively integrated, but building only about 3,000 watches a year compared to 100,000 by its neighbor. Now, the Funky Blue is a fade, and you can see it's a sunburst metallic graining brushed from the center out. We have that lacquered transparent Moser logo. Again, they're pretty small on branding, big on design. This is not one of their purity or concept dials, though, because you can see we have these indices and features such as a sunken and then concentric pattern sub-seconds. We have a large window for the large date. We have a power reserve indicator. The watch has two mainspring barrels in series, rated 7 days. That's the chronometric power reserve. In fact, it'll stop running just short of 9 days if you let it keep going. Now, the watch does have a hacking seconds function, which you can use to stop the seconds hand and set it to a reference time. You can also see we have a little stub index under the main hands. They are faceted leaf style. Now, we have this bi-directional Andreas Streller perpetual calendar system, so we have that big date, then we have the little index, the index 12 hours, 12 months. That's how you know what you're looking at. So for example, we are looking at the 8th month, so we are looking at August 1st. That's how that works. It is bi-directional, and it works a little bit differently when you're quick setting it. That's why you're looking at the 29th to the 1st, but it doesn't do that when it's running on its own. You can see that there's a break between the two discs. A traditional Swiss Grande Date, or large date, will include 2 digits, whereas at Moser it includes gigantic individual numerals. And the way they do this is that they have a superimposed calendar system with 2 semicircle discs, one bearing half the month, the other bearing the other half, and that allows us to have this enormous date without a watch that's effectively twice the size. You can see those lovely applique indices on the dial side. We have a little pusher adjuster. Andreas Streller designed the original Moser Perpetual system, this system, when it debuted back in 2006, and he's famous for making complex functions deceptively simple. So he has the month and the date bi-directionally settable on the front of the watch and the leap year on the back, and you can see you set it with that little index. Moser was famous for pocket watches in the 19th and early 20th centuries. So this is designed to read as a pocket watch movement. First, the movement is large. This is the HMC 800. It's 34 millimeters in diameter, so it fills the case back. It has barrel arbors, which you can see here for the two mainspring barrels in series, and then the train wheel jewels all the way down to the final wheel. You can see that they're set in these golden cups, a nod to the way watches were made in the pocket watch era. We also have two bridges, so not a true three-quarter bridge, but they're designed to read as a vintage pocket watch three-quarter bridge. We also have a Swans neck style click spring, which again is a nod to the pocket watch era. We have double-crested Côte de Genève snailing on the edge of the bridges, black polished screw heads, satination on the balance bridge, and you can see more snailing on the base of the module for the escapement and the assortment. So this beats away at 18,000 vibrations per hour. It has an overcoil hairspring for excellent timekeeping in every physical position with respect to gravity. Nice big slow beating 2.5 Hertz balance. If you look carefully, you can see a 14 karat gold escapement. It's 14 carats to reduce friction. The escapement, the balance, and the hairspring, all made in-house by Moser, one of the smallest manufacturers in Switzerland that can make these parts. And it counts many esteemed public and private clients. MBNF is one that is declared. Now, this whole thing lifts out as a platform to be replaced by a pre-lubricated, adjusted, and poised replacement at the regional Moser service affiliates. They have affiliates in Asia, in Europe, in America, and so that little pre-serviced module can be replaced and the watch can be sped back to you in a reasonable amount of time. That's why they use it. You can also see that we have 30-meter water resistance, which is standard for dress watches, and a Moser styling flourish that is distinctive of the brand, these double-crested Côte de Genève. The finishing is attractive, but I would describe it as a judicious blend of manual and mechanical, comparable to Journe, JLC, or Audemars Piguet, so very much price-appropriate, but also designed to prevent the watch from costing deep into six figures. Moser is always very honest about its pricing. So this is a fantastic timepiece that is loaded with original thinking and very distinctive of its brand. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing.